Hey guys, I'm back at it again. Now going back to the previous video, I did play this one time when I played the trilogy on my PS Vita 7 years ago. This is where it gets a bit iffy now. I don't remember shit on how I actually felt about this game. I remember bits and pieces. Even then, it's like one level here, one level there, making me worry about playing it once again. Sometimes you find yourself with the trilogy not ending as well as either the first or second one. How this game started did not help me change my opinion, since this is a recipe of known consequences, being that a sequel was greenlit before they even finished Sly 2, and to top it off, they were only given not a full year but 11 months. Yeah, this was not a very good sign at all. They do this, we're at the end, but we'll do a recap thing from Sly's point of view while he gets choked to death. It all starts with one of his father's old gang members telling Sly about the Cooper Vault. Sly goes there to find out that it's owned by Dr. M. With just the three of them, they can't exactly get inside it at all, so they decide that it's finally time to get more members. This is the main goal of the game. Their first stop is Italy to get Murray, and real quick, just to break away from this, sounds very different, but still has the same voice actor. I'm not sure why they did this voice. It's a little bit too grunty for my taste. They do the same for Carmelita, who I didn't know until looking it up, has a completely different voice actor for not just Sly 2, but Sly 1, 2, and 3. This voice actor for 3 wasn't exactly my favorite, but it did slowly actually start to grow on me. Although nobody's replacing her Sly 2 voice actress, I just absolutely love her. After getting him, they go to get Guru, who is Murray's master, since Murray blamed himself for Bentley's legs and took a bit of a oath to being a pacifist, shortly giving that up for the gang. After picking up the Guru, they decide to give Bentley's online girlfriend a shot, whose name is Penelope. After that, they get an old rifle of Sly's, which is the Panicking. Very much surprised at the fact that they did actually give him a chance, being that he did help kill Sly's father. The last member of the team is Dimitri, who is also a previous villain in Sly 2. After getting everyone, they decide to crack the vault, but failing given how the game actually started. And only in his hour of need, Carmelita actually comes in and saves him, giving the gang one last shot to do this, and actually succeeding, with Dr. M following close by. He reveals to Sly that he was also a member of his father's group, and that the walrus at the beginning of the story that told him about the vault was only because he told him to do so, basically pulling an Eisen. Doing all this because he felt like he was in Sly's father's shadow for too long. He decided to take the vault for himself. With one last fight, the vault begins to get teared down, and a final blow to Sly, giving him amnesia. He goes with Carmelita, leaving the crew behind. Fast forward to a few months later, Bentley finds Sly and that he's actually living the best life he possibly can, and the credits roll. The story is very solid, giving us these new and old characters and balancing them out very well. There isn't much I would say I dislike about it, but I said not very much, so there is something to talk about. With Dr. M, they try to do this whole second guessing with Bentley and how the relationship is very much like what Dr. M experienced. It's very short lived, and honestly, they didn't exactly do the best with actually convincing you that this is what was going on. Same with the Walrus guy from beforehand. They never really talk about his story and what he actually felt, which was honestly a little bit disappointing that they cut him out of the story before they really wrote him into it. He could have been a cool addition to Dr. M for the final boss fight, and in the story to really convey the whole second guessing between the Kuba gang. I mean, could you imagine with the final boss fight? It could have been Sly and Bentley versus Dr. M while Murray fights the Walrus guy by himself. It's a little bit of a wasted chance, but even then, the story is amazing without it, which I'm glad they could do this, ending off with the trilogy. Now, with Sly 2 introduction, Murray and Bentley, and really giving each of these characters diverse moves. The third one does what every other platformer does, much like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon, which is introducing more friends, giving you access to play each of the new members that you get throughout the story, each with their own versions of gameplay, adding more to the whole diversity. To the point where my problem with Sly 2 was that it was repetitive. This game essentially erases that problem. Since you're always doing something unique with any of the vast characters, not adding anything new for the trio in exchange for giving you Guru, who has the ability to take over characters, letting you use their moves or even crashing into shit. Penelope being a vehicle character, whether it's an airplane or the RC car, although I do wish you could actually fight with her, since in the story, she was actually one of the bosses having a secret identity, showing that she can actually box, and that after recruiting her, she basically loses that ability somehow. It becomes a standard damsel in distress, which is a little bit disappointing given the fact that she was literally beating my ass earlier. The Panda King being my personal favorite newcomer in the series, letting you lock on waves of enemies, exploring them with your fireworks. You only use him 2 times in the game, but with these 2 times, it's honestly a lot of fun. I do also love the fact that they do this whole development with him, trying to become a changed man, following a more peaceful life, and trying to reject his hate for Sly Cooper, and having this whole fight with his inner demon. Dimitri with his underwater segments, being these FPS areas, it's refreshing that none of these guys feel too underused, aside from PK. Really hitting on the nail of not letting you say not this again. The only time where I felt this was in the rowing levels and the pirate world. I mean, what the fuck is this? Making me more mad when they let you go faster the third time you do it, and the pirate world being such a slog, with its ship battles feeling like you need to have luck over your side of winning, and the fact that they pull a Zelda Wind Waker, taking 10 minutes to get to point A to point B. It also doesn't help that each ship fight gives you a shit ton of money, but ultimately it's completely useless since this is the last area of the game, as well as they already do give you a shit ton of money since obviously it's a pirate world. Last but not least, Carmelita, who I almost actually forgot to include in this video, but thank God I didn't since I actually do kind of like her sections. You do this whole third person shooter type game, and honestly, it's actually not that bad. It definitely could use some improvement since it is pretty standard and doesn't actually showcase a lot of her abilities that she does have. But who knows, maybe in the sequel they actually do that, since I actually don't remember if you do or do not play as her in the next one. To my shock, I can see this as the best game out of the franchise. That's really showing you that they learn a lot from each and every game previous to this, expanding on what was good and getting rid of what was bad, which is pretty weird. The fact that I don't remember anything from this game upon replaying it, I can really show off that I do love this game and that it's personally my favorite, leaving very little to be desired. And if you were a fan of the first or even the second one, there's no reason why you wouldn't love this one as well, being a true close off to the trilogy that really made a name for itself and not being forgotten even after all these years. And honestly, props to Sucker Punch for actually accomplishing this, since this is their last game with Sly Cooper, and so far they never really shown an interest in actually coming back. Now, of course, they still have them in the back of their minds, doing little Easter eggs for any other new and upcoming game they do. But if you remember from beforehand, I did say there were 4 Sly Cooper games. So yes, there is one final entry in the whole franchise, which is called Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, which is actually made by Sanzaru Games, a completely different developer that a lot of people consider this game to be very meh. So I'll have to honestly see what everyone's talking about, since this will be my first time actually playing a game for myself. But until then, have good morning, good night, wherever you're at. If it's your birthday, have a birthday, and have a peaceful day. Until next time.